Good evening.
Good evening.
How are your bees doing? Looks like we got one more waiting to get on there. So what questions you guys have this evening?
Well, I guess I'll start. This is Ray Farrell, and really, I don't have any questions. I was just going to be an observer tonight.
You never know on these. Sometimes we get a lot of questions. Sometimes it's just a few people showing up going, hey, how's it going? And that's about it.
And who knows, a question might even just pop up, during the meeting. So.
Yep. So how about you, Michael? You got anything going on?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Hey guys. Yeah, so just wanted to give you an update since Jason came out and replaced the nukes, added a second box. It's just going nuts. So excited about that. Noticed caught me off guard because I had not seen a drone larva. Are those generally capped?
Yeah, when you're looking at the brood, when they start capping them, you can tell the difference between the regular worker and the drones because the regular worker will be pretty much just smooth across the frame,
Mhm.
and the drones it'll be bumpy, kind of like look like popcorn.
Well, this one was actually sticking out of the cell like it would not fit in it. Is that common?
Yeah, like you said, they're going to be sticking up. So he may have just been hatching, or they may have uncapped it for some reason. Was it fully formed, or was it still looking
It,
more like a larva?
hard to tell for me and probably not for you. But so I wasn't sure what the case was. It just looked way bigger than any other larva in that frame. So I actually discarded it. I was like not sure that it belonged, and it was at the bottom of the frame. It didn't really disrupt any of the pattern going on. So I wasn't sure. It was like that didn't look right to me, but nothing looks wrong to me except for what looks right. So who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of erred on the side of caution on that, and but that being said, it's just been crazy since we moved the hives into direct sunlight. There's been all kinds of, it looks like O'Hare Airport with it, bees flying in and out of it. And I set up, we've got plenty of water because we're one house away from the canal, but they have chosen, I put one of those self-watering dog dishes about 10 feet away, and I put some rocks in it, and I found one bee in it. They want to fly all the way back to our house, and they found this spigot that has a constant little seepage in there, and there's like 20 wrapped around that at any given time. And they go straight to it, and then they fly straight back to the hive. It's crazy.
They're weird. They'll find certain things like, people with hot tubs and pools will find them over there, even if you give them straight water.
Huh.
So here's an image of like what drone brood would look like. See, it's kind of bumpy.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah, so it just caught me off guard because everything else in the area was capped and those two were not. And just didn't know if it was invasive and didn't want to take a chance. And then I saw a video later and they're like, nope, that's a drone larva. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
And you'll know they're mature. So if they're still in the larva, they'll still be white.
Yeah.
Then the next thing they'll be fully white. Then the next thing that happens is you start seeing their eyes turn dark. They'll go purple.
Huh.
And they'll still be white, and then they'll start getting the rest of their color. So,
Right. Okay.
and depending on the bees, they could uncap them if they think there's like varroa mites and stuff in there. They could pop the caps off and take a look, and maybe they'll abort the
I see.
particular larva because they think there's too many things, or they'll uncap it, verify there's nothing in it, so cap it right back up again.
Okay.
Wow.
It all depends on genetics. That's that
Okay.
varroa sensitive hygiene.
Yeah,
So
to
the
that.
Saskatraz that Jason likes are really good about doing that. And there's a few other ones that they've been working on that are doing that. So
Okay, which leads me to another question if nobody else has one.
Okay.
I don't want to sit here and hijack this whole session.
There's only the three of us, so
Okay,
we
great.
just keep chatting.
So, when I added the box, do I need to add another Varroa treatment?
What are you using for your Varroa?
It's the stuff that Jason gave me.
The strips?
Yep.
So when it's basically 2 strips per box, and you're gonna put
Okay.
it in between the boxes. So if you're only running a single, you're just gonna put the 2 right on
Yep.
top in the middle. When you add the second, you wanna go to 4. And you still wanna keep them right there in the middle, and that, what you're hoping for is the nurse bees are gonna be walking across that, picking up those crystals and spreading them around the hive.
Okay, so he put 4 on the original box.
Okay, yeah, well then, but 4 total, you need basically 2 per deep is what you need. So if you put
So-
4 on, he was ready to get you going. So right now they're good, usually 60 to 90 days, just keep checking them, and if they still feel moist, then they're still usually pretty good. When
Okay,
you start seeing them drying out, that's when it's time to replace them.
Okay, I've been really disciplined on leaving them alone and letting them do their job. So I'm due to check them Friday.
Yep.
Should I take 2 strips from the bottom and put them up top or no?
No, you want to still leave them in between, because they're going to be going
Oh,
in between
gotcha.
the 2
Yeah.
boxes.
That makes sense.
You
And then I did the I don't have it in front of me. It's the powder that you put on both edges.
Yeah, either the Super MDF or the Mellifera Boost.
It's well, it was from Man Lake, so they call it something different, but it's not a probiotic, but I can't remember what it's called. But I know that his assistant had taken a spoon and just kind of tapped it along both sides of each frame, going down across the box.
Okay.
Can't remember what it is. I feel like it's a supplement.
Yeah, both of the Super MDF and the Mellifera Boost are kind of like a probiotic.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you put, you may just kind of keep an eye on it. If your comb and stuff is still looking kind of nice and shiny, or still kind of, I don't say shiny, but still light colored,
Uh-huh.
kind of like what I had shared there before.
Right.
Put that back on there. So if it's still kind of, you can see how the caps are still kind of brightish yellow and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
They're good. As they start getting like right down here, or is my mouse showing up? Right down here, see how it's starting to get darker?
Oh, yeah,
That's-
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So when you start, the darker the cap, that means it could be that they're starting to have some issues. So,
Okay.
this is up here is all looks pretty much to me like new drawn out wax.
Right.
Down here, this has been walked across. They got dirty feet. Nobody taught them to use a doormat. So
Yeah.
the
Right.
more they walk over it, the darker it gets. And that's why most people, we're recommending replacing your comb every 3 to 5 years. Just, look at it. The darker it gets, the more pesticides, the more cocoons, because when they do hatch, they will leave a cocoon inside there that kind of clean it up. But over time, it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and it actually makes these holes smaller and smaller and smaller.
Harder to do work in.
Yeah, and it actually gets smaller bees.
Gotcha.
If you were really lucky and there was no environmental contaminants that were coming in, pesticides, herbicides, and you could leave the cone alone, slowly these cells would get smaller and smaller, and you would notice slowly but surely your bees would be getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
To that, we were heading back this weekend from BLM, and I noticed these big blue hutches in these fields, in these farm fields, that had frames of something, but they didn't look like honeybees. Do you know what those are?
they are kind of bees. They had some out by my house a couple of years ago. I'm assuming they're pollinating out, because it just looks like around the edge of alfalfa fields.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I do know there are some farmers in the valley that raise alfalfa strictly for seed.
Yeah.
There was kind of a mini series on one of the news stations about the Grand River or the Colorado River and Grand Valley irrigation, and they were interviewing a guy that was basically saying he grew alfalfa for seed.
Wow.
And in the background, you can see one of those blue boxes. So
Yeah.
maybe that, I don't know 100% what that is, but it sounds like it could be.
Yeah. We drove up and just stopped alongside of one, and it was he had dozens of them. I mean, this guy had them everywhere. So it was like, wow. But I didn't know what I felt like it was a pollinator. I just wasn't sure. It made sense. Cool. Thanks.
So it looks like we had two new people join. Welcome. Any of you, either one of you have any questions? How are your bees doing?
Hi, this is Boz. It says Bobby Cleve on here, but I appreciate getting a chance to ask some questions. I think one of them I heard part of the answer to just now, where you ought to change your wax out every once in a while, and I haven't done it in long enough that I've got some almost real dark brown black supers as well as deeps that I need to get some frames, but particularly foundation to build out. Called San Juan Bee Supply, left messages over the weekend, but they're out of everything. So I think I've heard on the last full meeting that James McManus has got some deep foundation and frames.
Yeah, he was selling deep frames for, I think it was $2 a piece or $3 a piece, something like that. I think it was $2 a piece. He had bought like a huge pallet full of them.
Okay, does
And
he just, should I call him directly?
I would get a hold of him directly or shoot an email to the club, because he every board member has access to that, so he will see it
Okay.
there too. So
All right, great.
but yeah, and he's only running deeps because that's all he runs for everything.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for
Yeah, I couldn't
medium
believe he
or-
said that in that meeting. I can't imagine lifting deeps professionally.
Yeah, well, he does have a few younger whippersnappers that
Yeah,
work
I
for
think
him, so.
that's probably what it takes.
Yeah,
I do have a
but-
question,
So
actually.
there
I've
is
got-
method to the madness for that, because by running deeps, he only has to have one set of equipment. So his new stuff becomes his honey super, and then after a year or two, he rotates that down,
Sure.
becomes brood, and then the dirty little secret to any of the professional beekeepers is when they make nukes, they take that older comb and they put it in your nuke, and he sells that. So that's how he rotates it out, unless it's super bad. He's really
Yeah, no,
diligent
usually
about-
it's really good. I've gotten a nuke from him before, and the frames were fine, but used. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a question. One of my hives, I've got a real small, maybe a grapefruit size bunch of bees in it. It was a split that from this year that swarmed already, but I don't think they left any viable queen cells. So I'm wondering whether I should just try to build them up, or whether I should somehow incorporate them into one of my other hives.
I guess the question is, do you want that additional hive, or are you good with your numbers?
Well, I'm not sure the numbers are big enough to make it through this next winter without
Yeah, I mean,
a queen.
I don't know the exact number, but just what I've heard from other things is you're still good enough to, if right now you still would probably be good to try to have them, like, give them a frame of brood or give them a frame of eggs and have them try to make their own queen. There's still enough time, but once we get past the 4th of July, the middle of July, that's when you're really, really pushing it if they have to get their own queen going. Because remember, you're
Got it.
basically a month before she's ready to lay.
Okay, so a set or a frame from one of the other hives.
Yeah, if you can find a frame that definitely is many eggs on it as you can,
Yeah,
especially if they know they're queenless, they should immediately start drawing out a queen cell.
Yeah.
You can check them in 3 or 4 days after you put it in there and see if they've actually started drawing out queen cells.
yeah.
And if they have, then you want to basically leave that alone for like 3 weeks.
Okay.
That'll give the queen a chance to mature, hatch out, fly on her mating flight, and come back and hopefully start laying eggs.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then in the 3 or 4 week period, then you can start looking and see if you see eggs, and then you're good to go. And then, to get them up, do you have drawn frames in there right now, or are they going to have to be drawing those out?
No,
Is
I've
that-
got another deep that's fully drawn. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they don't, they're gonna be a little ahead of the curve if they don't have to draw, because they can immediately start laying and then it's just gonna be numbers. And if
Okay, I
you've got-
figured
if-
I was at the end of the time where I could do it. I knew that July was, what do they say, not worth a fly.
So, and I've heard both, you know, 4th of July, middle of July, you're good to go. I mean, obviously, you're not gonna get any honey off of them.
Right.
But, you know, we'll get that late pollen and nectar flow this fall, and
Yeah.
that should be able to, especially if they don't have to draw anything, that they
Yeah.
should be able to catch up.
Yep, I just need to get some frames to swap a few out, but there'll be enough foundation for them to build it up, I'm pretty sure.
T-shirts.
Yep. Some
Last thing, I've got 3 T-shirts that all have bee themes that I want to get to anybody who wants them. I assume the only way to do that is to get to one of the meetings and hand them
Yeah,
to you
pretty-
guys.
Pretty much, you know, you could, if you wanted to, you know, we do that honey show later in the year. We could kind of take those as like door prizes if you wanted to
Let's
do it
do
that
that.
way.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Or I maybe could hand them off to James if I picked up some frames.
Yep.
Okay,
So, I
Great.
do know he's gonna be, you know, he does a lot of stuff down there at the church where we do the dipping. And I know he said he was gonna be down there this weekend getting boxes and stuff to get because he does fall splits too, but he also has queens. So,
okay, so he'll be there this weekend?
yeah, he said he was gonna be there probably Friday, Saturday. I would give him a call
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
when he's around.
Okay, cool. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yep.
That's it for me.
Okay. How about you, S? Any questions or comments?
Oh, it's this is actually Sheila, and I just thought I'd had the moment and just drop in and see what everybody had to say. Jason is selling those for $3 a frame because I bought some earlier this year.
Okay.
But I don't have anything specific to ask. I was just kind of eavesdropping and seeing what everybody was up to and go from there.
Summers are a little slow. Everybody's pretty well, you know, our early meetings on these are usually really busy, especially with the newbies coming in, asking all kinds of questions. This time of year is kind of slow because everybody's got their summer stuff going on. And then we'll get a whole bunch more questions here, probably August and September when everybody's getting ready for winter. So those seem to be
Yeah.
the heavy ones. So
Well,
I,
I'm typically working when these chats happen, so and I'm not tonight, so I just thought I'd just kind of sign up for one of them to see what you're all were discussing.
yeah. These are just pretty much open, so whatever comes up, I never know. And you know, tonight I'm the only one here. Most of the time, it's usually both Tracy and I are here, so we get 2 different perspectives from things. So, you know,
Cool.
the biggest thing for me is I'm learning all the stuff that I know that I didn't realize that I knew. So,
Or reminding yourself.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. I'm learning something all the time, so yeah. But yeah, I don't have any questions. I was just listening in.
okay, that'll work. I do know tomorrow night we're going to have our board meeting, so we'll get the agenda set. Normally for July, it's usually slow, so we'll, you know, get as a heads up. We usually do that as like the club usually provides ice cream and drinks for the July meeting. So that's probably coming up, and I'm not sure what else we're going to discuss. It'll probably be pretty light because July is usually our least attended meetings because of vacations and all that other stuff. So
July and December.
yeah, July and December. That's true. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, I went to the bee school that they had last month, and that was really good. Jamie Ellis, Dr. Jamie Ellis was really good. I was impressed with him. So maybe we can, I don't know, talk a little bit about it at our next meeting.
good. Yeah, unfortunately I missed it, but if you do like Jamie and you listen to podcasts, the University of Florida where he's out of, they do a podcast called Two Bees and a Podcast. It's him and a extension agent named Amy Vu, and they talk about they're doing a bunch of interviews from everybody from hobbyists all the way up to commercial beekeepers. They're talking to people from all over the world. The last one I just listened to, they were talking to a professor from Greece and talking about what beekeeping's like out there. And it was amazing to hear that in Greece, most of their honey is actually honeydew honey. So it's actually from other insects that the bees then collect that nectar from, and most of it actually comes from pine trees.
Yeah,
So,
he did talk about honeydew honey, and how exactly it was made. At the meeting, that class. So yeah, Tracy, when we had our Delta meeting, Tracy, and whoever went, that was there, we all discussed things that we, thought were really neat about what we learned and stuff. So yeah, we could probably do the same thing at the junction meeting.
yep, sounds like a good idea to me because
Yeah.
unfortunately I was busy and I couldn't get there. So,
Yeah, sometimes it just works out that way, but yeah, it was really, really good. So yeah.
Cool.
Otherwise, I don't have any questions.
okay, well, if nobody else
Oh.
has anything, we'll just call it a night. And
I've
we'll
got a
see
couple.
everybody in 2 weeks. Oh, you got something else? Okay.
Yes, please. What seems to be the consensus on the most used smoker fuel in our area? Since we don't have a whole lot of pine needles out here, I use that cotton stuff, but it seems to not want to. I mean, I'll pump air through it, and it's just like I'm relighting it before I know it.
I've seen burlap used to be big, but it's getting hard to find burlap sacks anymore.
Really hard to find. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm using pine needles because I have a pine tree at my house and it's just constantly shredding needles. So
Wow. Yeah.
I don't. You're over there on 23 Road, right? I came over.
Yeah, we've got plenty of cottonwood. You want cottonwood?
No, I don't need but I was gonna say I'm only a couple miles from you. You're more than welcome to come scrape some of these pine needles
Oh,
up out
awesome.
of my driveway.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that. Thanks.
Yeah. So I
'Cause I heard they're great. I heard they're great. So
yeah, they work pretty good. My worst part is when I'm actually stuffing them into the smoker. They
Right.
poke your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
But other than that,
that's the only tree we don't have growing on our property, I think. So
yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, and with me anymore, my bees seem this year right now, they seem to be
Pretty
so mellow that I haven't even I've packed my smoker and I take it out there, but I haven't even lit it because they're just so mellow right now. A few weeks ago they were just nasty. I don't know what it was. I mean, I've got some horses and I've got a 6-foot fence between my apiary and the horse thing, and they're usually fine. But when I tried to put the horses up, and during the summer I leave them out so they can just graze the pastures, and I only put them up when I water so they don't make big old divots. And I put them up, and at night, the very next day, you could just tell the bees were bugging the crap out of the horses. So, well, I guess I'm not watering right now. But that lasted, I don't know, that's been something they were getting into because it lasted about 2.5 weeks, and now they're fine.
Huh. Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah, it must have been something they were getting into this area because Jason's got a yard from me, about 1.5 miles from me, and he was saying the same thing. It's just they are just grumpy, nasty. We don't know. He doesn't know what it is, and then it just stopped.
Huh.
So it had to have been some sort of forage.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
But yeah, I mean, you can bring yourself over a 2.5 5-gallon bucket, and we can scrape up all kinds of needles. I
will hit you up for that, sir.
So yeah.
Thank you.
So, yep.
I think that's all I've got today. I'm sure after we discontinue this, I'll have 7 more questions. So
yeah,
but that's the way it always goes.
Yep, that works. So it's either bring it up at the next meeting, or shoot an email to the club, and they said all of us board members have access to it. So usually me, but sometimes Tracy and Jason will get on there and they'll respond back to them. So
okay, last one. How do I get on the swarm list?
Okay, so are you getting the newsletters?
Yes.
So in the newsletters there is a link.
Oh, okay.
There for the form to get on the swarm list. So right now it's dying.
Okay.
Swarms are. I mean, we did have a legitimate one 2 days ago, but before that I hadn't had one in like 2.5 weeks.
Whatever
So
happened to that one that was super high up?
it got pretty much abandoned. I had two different people went and look at it, and both of them after getting out there, they're like, it's too dangerous to
Yeah.
even try to climb up that tree. So, it
Cherry
moved.
picker.
Yeah, but where it was located, you couldn't even get a truck back there.
Oh, wow.
It was in their backyard, surrounded by a fence. It was just,
Okay.
So I do when I get those, I do my best to try to evaluate what I am. And, when it's a normal swarm, it's on the list, and that's kind of, I call you, you take it or you don't. And then if you don't, you get marked as you got a call and I move on. It's kind of like your
Right.
shot. When
That's-
it's an oddball thing like that, I throw it out to anybody and everybody, and it does. If you go get it, it doesn't count as your turn for that round.
Okay, good to know. That's
So-
a jump ball, right?
Yeah. I mean, I want you to have the opportunity to go out there. I can't control. I do everything I can to, make sure it's a legitimate swarm and it's a decent size. But
Sure.
sometimes I'll ask. So how big is it? Is it like a basketball? Is it a volleyball? Is it a beach ball? Oh yeah, it's like a beach ball. And then you get out there and it's a grapefruit. It's like
Right.
or
Very small beach ball.
Yeah. So,
Got it.
but and then sometimes there's a lot of times that they'll call like, oh, they just showed up, and you call, and by the time you get out there, they've already moved on. So
Okay. Okay.
the big
Awesome.
thing on swarms is they could be there for 5 minutes or they could be there for 5 days.
Yeah.
So you never know, and it's the luck of the draw. So, but yeah, you're more than welcome to jump on there. And since I've gone through the list once, if there is a legitimate one, I'd probably just give it to you as a try.
Okay.
And if not, jump on it next year.
Sounds
So,
good. Okay.
but this
Thanks.
time of year, we're getting a lot of cutouts. So I don't know if you have construction experience, be able to take things apart and put them back together. That's usually what starts hitting now, because the ones we missed, they didn't, nobody called on us, and then all of a sudden they found the hole in the wall, and they
Oh,
moved
wow.
into a wall or an attic, or so. And then I get a lot of calls for wasp, because
Oh, yeah.
honeybees have a very good press agent, and anything that is small and yellow and black and flying is a bee,
Must
according
be.
to the public.
Yeah.
So-
That's the only logical explanation.
Yes, there's nothing else out there. It's all a bee.
Nope.
Anything more than 12 is a swarm. So
Or my water spigot.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I got several calls where they've just been, oh, I got a swarm of bees, and I'm like, well, so what's the cluster look like? Well, they're not clustered, they're just flying all over the place, and you get video, and it's like, yeah, they're foragers. Because you happen to have the one plant that's blooming right
Right.
now, and nobody else is blooming, so they found it, and they're going to go nuts for it. Don't
Got it.
well, can you get rid of them? No, sorry, we can't. They're just going to keep coming back until you get two choices: wait for the nectar to go away or cut it down. So
All right. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the time.
yep,
Got all
I,
my,
I second that. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
not a problem. Have a good night, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
sounds great. Enjoy your evening.
Sounds great.
Good night.
Good night.